Cold calling is quite ballsy. Open houses, it shows effort, you can get some good stuff, but it's a lot of work for not a lot of return. The problem with social media is it's all organic. Unless you're doing paid advertising, that organic traffic is not doing anything for you. The time you spend cold calling, the time you spend door knocking, you could have got 20, 50, 100 leads in that time by not doing that. Very simply, if you want to improve, just track all your data. If you just want one thing to take away from this video, the reason why a lot of top producing agents are top producing agents is because of this here. If you're not using this outreach method for real estate, you are going to fail. Slight exaggeration, but this gives you such a big advantage, such a big edge over everyone else in real estate that you'd be dumb not to use it. The outreach method I'm using in question and one I'm talking about here is paid advertisement. Ignore the title there, I thought it'd be funny. But why paid ads are the #1 outreach method for realtors. So going through another great Miro board here, basically detailing exactly why paid ads are the #1 outreach method and why, if you're not using it, you're kind of shooting yourself in your own foot. But to give you a rough idea of who I am and basically what we offer, my name's Dylan Kirk. I'm the CEO and founder of Estato. And we base ourselves around basically making paid advertising systems for realtors. So it's not just, Facebook company number 506 who wants to market your real estate company, not like that. We want to build systems that you can use and manage yourself. You have control over, you control the quality, you control the quantity, you have full control over it. We just want to make sure we focus on quality instead of quantity. Because we realize 100 leads and 0 conversions is 0 leads, because 100 multiplied by 0 is still 0. So giving you a rough idea there. But yeah. Paid ads, a great idea, depending on what platform you're using. If it's something like Facebook and Instagram, I don't really recommend it. More like YouTube and going along those sort of lines, then yeah, YouTube 100% I recommend. And it's something we specialize in. This might come across as a big promotion for myself and for my company, but paid ads are really good. If you're not using it and you're using these methods here, which we'll get into, you are kind of shooting yourself in your own foot, and there's not really much I can do about that. So common outbound tactics realtors use, just going through the 4 common ways people use it and why they kind of fail. So cold calling. Cold calling can have success. Like I'm not going to sit here and say cold calling isn't bad. There's a reason that my company started as well, cold calling, because it is a really effective way to at least find leads in a somewhat cost efficient way. It can be quite good, but scaling off that is really hard. So as I say here, can occasionally produce listings, but it's very time consuming. You have a low conversion rate, depending on the script you're using, but trying to find that script and trying to refine it can take so much more time. You might as well invest in something else. And the burnout is quite high, and people hate it, so the trust is low. You don't know how many people that I would get as well saying, cut to the chase, or you got people who are just like, I don't really care what you do, or you get no shows. So that trust is really low because you've cold called them. Like cold calling is quite ballsy, because it's people, you're assuming that people are going to trust you enough to hop on and actually, wanted to have a call with you and actually have an interaction. Some people aren't going to want that, but that's when your offer kind of has to carry with cold calls. But I'm getting off topic. Cold calls, it's a really hard thing to figure out. And if you do manage to do it, you could have spent all that time doing something else. That probably would have worked quite well. But yeah, cold calling can be effective, but most of the time it's not. Next one, open houses. Extremely common for a lot of realtors, and this is where it kind of falls into the referral category a little bit, but not really. So it shows effort. 100% open houses. It's a really great way to show, this agent really cares. This agent is someone who actually wants to help me, or is someone who is actually putting a lot of effort into their work, which a lot of people admire. And this is why a kind of a psychological thing where people who are in shape or people who look quite big, they are looked at as harder working than the average person, mainly because they spend all that time on themselves. What can they do for their product, or what can they do for their work and stuff like that? Like imagine that same workforce is in every other aspect of their life, which is usually what happens. How you do one thing is how you do everything, which is why, in a way, why open houses do work sometimes quite well, but there are some cons. So it attracts nosy neighbors that are like more than buyers. So this is where you can get a lot of bad leads. You can get good leads as well. Don't get me wrong, you can get good leads. I wouldn't count this as referrals though. Open houses is not a referral way of doing it. It's more of an outbound method, because it's just relying on people coming in and basically like attracting bees with honey. That's kind of how it is. It wouldn't make sense. Bees with honey. but you get my point. Usually zero ROI without a follow-up system. So a lot of realtors, and this is something I see quite commonly, is that a lot of them just kind of hope that open houses somehow funnel in all these buyers that are like all these customers that are ready to go. It's not really how it works. Especially open houses, you do kind of need to make sure that you are following up consistently. If you don't follow up with these people consistently, those promised leads that you've got from the open houses, they've suddenly vanished, and then this becomes a waste of your weekend time. Weekend time that you can either do outreach on the weekend. I don't normally recommend that, but different area. Or focusing on anything that is more on the service delivery side, or more focusing on your T's and C's, your legality, and making sure that all the documents and everything is kosher with the prospect or client. So you can spend all your time doing that. Again, focusing on the last video as well about 80-20 rule, 20-80 rule, 4-hour work week. This really doesn't help out. So just keep that in mind. With open houses, it shows effort. You can get some good stuff, but it's a lot of work for not a lot of return. The ROI is quite low. As we see here, sometimes zero ROI. Your follow-up system isn't really there. Door knocking. Surprised that this is as common as it is with real estate. Some markets have this really commonly. Not really looking like California and that sort of stuff, but you know, more on the like lower population side. So door knocking, you have the one benefit, which it is face to face. It builds that trust faster, and it shows that you have. So first of all, you're quite ballsy because you've shown up at their door and you've assumed that they're not gonna slam the door in your face. They're not gonna yell at you for deserving their day, and they're probably gonna have some sort of interest with you. Like, it's kind of on the same thing as cold calling, except it's in-person cold calling, if that makes sense. That's kind of what it is, and you have that ability to build trust, and you can build that rapport quite easily on face-to-face, but it's incredibly inefficient. It's really time consuming. It's a massive time waste. It's a huge time waste. I'm surprised. I'm surprised this is actually used as commonly as it is in certain markets, because it really shouldn't be working. Especially in 2025, there are so many better ways than door knocking. Door knocking is not scalable, and this is the point here. It's really not scalable. And as a side note, while you are building trust faster, you're also being really interruptive, and it has a bad brand experience. Oh, you're the guy who shows it to my door and demands that I move forward with you. So that's why door knocking isn't really good. And honestly, I just want to delete that, because that really shouldn't be here. That really shouldn't be here. Another one, more leaning is towards of like using modern methods of outreach. Posting on social media, it can seem good. Like, this is kind of what I'm doing now. I'm posting on social media. I'm posting on YouTube. This is good for nurturing and warming the audience up. But without ads, you'll probably see the views in this video isn't like that high, despite how useful the info is. But there's no real reach without ads. There isn't really a reach. It doesn't attract new leads, doesn't do anything like that for you at all. The problem with social media is it's all organic, unless you're doing paid advertising. It's paid traffic and it's organic traffic. A lot of people, when they post on social media, they 100% rely on organic traffic, and it never really works out. The reason why it never really works out is that organic traffic, unless you've got a great strategy in place to get tens, hundreds, thousands of views on your videos, that organic traffic is not doing anything for you apart from maybe building a bit of trust and a bit of rapport. You need to focus on paid. Paid, it's scary because you have to pay for it. It's not as free as organic, but results is 100 times more than organic. Organic being like 1-2%, paid being like 40-50. And again, it's a time suck with no ROI if not strategic. You think about recording the videos. Well, before even recording the videos, planning the videos, like for example this Mario board here. You've then got to record the videos, you've then got to edit the videos, you've got to upload them, get a good thumbnail, and you've got to make sure you learn all that, because I'm guessing if you're going into social media, you haven't really ever had experience with this before. I mean, some I'm surprised some realtors I speak to, they have got editing and thumbnail experience and stuff like that, which I'm generally surprised about. But unless you're a natural, And unless you know exactly what you're doing, you've been doing it for ages, where you've streamlined it, you realize you're maximizing your time with it, it's not strategic. And even if you are fully maximizing your time, it's still not good if you're not getting leads from it, which most of the time you're not, because it's organic. And this is why, well, leads nicely into why paid ads crush everything else. So here are all the advantages paid ads have to offer. So just going in order, it's hyper targeted reach. So you're showing ads only to qualified location-specific buyers or sellers. So again, depending on the platform, just going off YouTube, you can either do it off state-wise, you can do it USA-wise, or you can do it just in a local area. Another one that really helps as well is by following through on that headline on the landing page. So for example, just going off the top of my head, if you're a realtor in California, you're focusing on hyper-targeted reach. If you want to focus on, let's say, Sacramento, you can have that exact same headline be implemented into your landing page. So only people from Sacramento are going to be opting in. So filter for income level, age group, homeowner, and status, really. I mean, again, depending on what you're doing, Google Ads Management tool has that available there, so you can do that. Scalable. So scalable is predictable lead flow, and you can spend more to get more outreach. It's a very simple formula. If you're spending $10 a day, you're going to get $10 a day's worth of ad spend of leads. Put 100 in, you're going to get that out. So you get 10 times more out as predictable. That's where it's predictable, where you know exactly what's going to happen if you put more ad spend in. If you do this, you know you're going to get out of it. So it is scalable. You also have 24/7 automation. So these come to you while you're in sleep, and there's no cold calls or knocking needed. So think about the hours you do of cold calling, hours you do of knocking on people's doors, getting slammed on the face or hung up on the phone. This is 24/7 automated. The time that you spend, it generally is really inefficient. The time you spend cold calling, the time you spend door knocking, you could have got 20, 50, 100 leads in that time by not doing that and just focusing all your time on ads. Data-driven optimization. I recommend this with any form of outreach, just tracking it. If you really want to stay doing, your door knocking or your social media and stuff like that, very simply, if you want to improve, just track all your data. Doesn't matter how crazy it looks of how much data you're tracking, you will find trends, you will find patterns, and you will be able to capitalize on that. But paid ads works really well for that, because you can track clicks, costs, conversions. Again, I have great videos on the channel for that. And it's one thing that if you do want to track out, you want to see how you can improve the performance of your paid ads, just look at the many videos I've got on my channel and double down on what works. So again, it's scalable. So you have that predictable lead flow and you can double down on what's actually working for you. So $50 a day, you're getting 10 leads a week. $100 a day ad spend, you now know you're getting 20 leads a week, because you've half the time it takes you to get that amount of leads, get 50 leads or 10 leads, my bad. But yeah. Positioning advantage as well. So you are really ahead of the curve if you're going with paid advertising, because again, everyone's stuck doing either organic because they got told by the brokerage they need to post on social media, so they're forced to. It's not really doing much for them. Door knocking, people are still doing that for whatever reason. Open houses, artsy but a waste of time. Cold calling, you're just gonna get a lot of people swearing at you. So you're gonna be ahead of all these people that either get recommended to do it in certain brokerages, or they just decide that this is the best way, or the best way they found success. You're going to be ahead of these people. You're 100% going to be ahead of these people because you stop being these people here. You're more into the paid advertising side. And there's a reason that a lot of top producing agents focus on paid advertising. If you just want one thing to take away from this video, the reason why a lot of top producing agents are top producing agents is because of this here, this formula here. This is exactly why they're in the position they're in, and why you will not be able to compete with them unless you follow through and do this exact same thing. If you don't do it, you're lost. Final column here for you, why this matters. So you can sit here and think, well, this is great and all paid advertising, but do I have the budget for it? And B, is it worth my time? Well, I'm going to show you exactly why this matters, and basically why paid ads build a business instead of a hobby. If you're a part-time agent, I'm guessing you're going to be doing one of these 4 things because, well, not really been in a position to do paid advertising, but I recommend saving up money and doing this as soon as possible. Even if you haven't got a clue how to do paid advertising, it's really not hard to figure out. There are so many guides online, including my own channel, which help you out and know exactly how to improve your CPC, your CTR, and in general, how to get the right kind of prospect for you and then start closing consistent deals and make it a full-time career. So paid ads leads to good lead flow, but cheap tactics is just more hustle based. So you're not really in control. That lead flow is more coming to you with paid ads, but with more cheap tactics, more like door knocking, you're chasing the leads. The leads come to you, but with cheap tactics, you're chasing the leads. And this video perfectly highlights what I mean by that. So paid ads as well, you have the advantage of having a fully booked calendar, and you know, again, have the leads come to you. You're not spending that time chasing leads. But with cheap tactics, and this is something I say to my clients a lot, if you are using cheap tactics, again, it's the same thing with pay after closing companies. You're either spending time or you're spending money. It just depends on which one you value more. Do you value money or do you value your time? If you value your time, do paid ads. And it's really not hard to get good converting ads with this guide here. Paid ads. Again, you have consistent clients. It's consistent, it's predictable. With cheap tactics, or with any of the tactics I mentioned before on the left hand side, you know, just aiming at these ones here, there's no real system. You're just doing this because you think you're going to get business from it without having any data or having any idea of what's working. And because there's no system, you can't scale with it. The point of having a system is that it's predictable. When you have predictability, you can scale off of that. And this is where this video really comes into play. Once you have an idea of what your cost per click is, your cost per acquisition, you know how to improve it and go from $2, $3 if you're unlucky, down to $1, less than that. Final one, with paid ads, the real advantage is having a real business infrastructure. This is something that you know is legit. You don't feel like a hustler anymore. You don't feel like this is like a 5 to 9, so to speak, or anything like that. This is real, this is legit, and this is what can put you on the map. Cheap tactics, you're on a never-ending hamster wheel, you're on a never-ending treadmill, and there's no real leverage. You don't have anything to buy that time back with. With cheap tactics, you're spending all your time trying to find leads. But with paid ads, you have the ability to make it so the leads are being found for you. Naturally, you're in control of it, while you can spend your time doing something else. Whether you want to spend time with your family, if you want to spend time on other T's and C's, or again, legality of prospects and clients, stuff like that, make sure everything's kosher, you can do that as well. If there's a project you really, really wanted to get started for your business, you can now do that. Well, so long as it doesn't get in the way of your paid ads and stuff like that. But there's a way you can really figure it out. This video goes into great detail on how to make sure you are making a business infrastructure and not focusing on just running on the treadmill, because it will be never ending. You will never get off that treadmill unless you follow through this video, gives you great advice on how to do it, and making sure that you are really making this into a proper funnel. You make this to a proper advertising deal, and you will do well. You will 100% do well. So that is a really good way. This perfectly highlights why ads are such a good thing. This perfectly explains why this is the #1 outreach method for realtors, and why a lot of top producing agents use it, and why if you're not using it, you are very behind. You're going to keep being behind, especially using these outdated methods. In fact, if you're using these outdated methods here, I don't know how you're still in real estate, to be perfectly honest. It's so saturated, it's so competitive, and you might as well give up or try something else out, like the paid advertising method. So there you are. That's everything. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or DM me on Instagram. Very active there. My link is in the description below. And yeah, if you want to work one-on-one as well, if you want me to go over how you can implement this yourself, I'm not charging anything like that, so don't worry about it. You can also go down below, and I'll be able to help out there as well. So that's everything. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, see ya.